Hi everybody, it's Masai here. Today we're going to talk about a really important concept if you're thinking about using AI in your law firm. So in this video, I'm going to explain a little bit more about local and cloud AI and why it matters for attorneys. Also, we're going to take that abstract concept and we're going to make it very concrete. I'm going to give you actionable steps you can follow to download a local model off the internet and run it on your own computer and start using it in your applications today. So if you stick around till the end, you'll be able to download a local model off the internet. You'll be able to use it yourself. And for your legal AI applications. That's the purpose of today's video. If you don't know me, my name is Masai Andrews, and I help solo attorneys figure out how they can use AI in the most practical way to save them money and time. Before you start building AI applications for your law firm, there's a really important question you have to answer. It's a question around security. It has to deal also with keeping your client's information confidential, avoiding malpractice, and protecting attorney-client privilege. So that question is the local AI versus cloud AI question. Today, we're going to answer that question. We're going to discuss what local AI is, what cloud AI is, and then when to use one or the other. For some reason, I've come up with this it's a bit of a strange analogy, but this is, I think, the best way to explain it. Imagine you are a king or a queen in a castle, right? You're in your castle, you're in your palace. For some reason, you need a contract to be reviewed. You have two ways that you can have that contract be reviewed. Either you can take that contract, you can give it to your messenger, you can have your messenger ride off on horseback to contract land, and then in contract land you can hope that they do a good job of reviewing the contract, redlining it, etc., giving the contract back to the messenger for the messenger to ride across the desert and return the reviewed or redlined contract to you, right? So that's one example. The other thing you could do is you could have an in-house contract review person. So instead of you having to give your contract to a messenger and have that messenger cross the desert to have that contract process, you could just have somebody in-house so that you just walk out of your chambers, your royal chambers, and you walk into your contract person's office and say, hey, I need this contract reviewed. Can you please review it for me? And the person would review it to your standard and do it much more quickly and much more securely because that contract never has to leave your palace, right? And so this is the difference between cloud AI and local AI. Cloud AI is giving your contractor information to a messenger, having the messenger go off to a third party, and that third party processing your information and returning it in a message back to you, right? So if we're talking about you're using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is, and you are giving those third party providers information about your case, what you're doing is you're taking your information, you're sending it off to those large language model providers. Those large language model providers are processing that information and sending it back to your computer. So that's how cloud AI works. But with a local AI setup, you can have everything in-house. So instead of having to send things off and get them returned back to you, you can have everything be processed on your own computer, on your own server or cloud droplet or however you want to host it. And that way you can have things be much more secure. Oftentimes it's a lot faster. It's much more customizable. If you set it up the right way, it can also be a lot cheaper as well. There used to be a much bigger barrier to entry with local AI setups because they used to be much more technically complex to set up a local AI system. But now every day it gets easier and easier to build things. So that's a part of the reason that I have this channel. It's part of the purpose of this channel is to give you as solo attorneys, as small firms, as business owners, the tools that you need to be able to build your own things, right? And so understanding local AI and how to use it and how to run it on your own systems is a big part of that. So I want to touch on a few of the positives and negatives or the plus and minus of both local AI and cloud AI, right? So again, with local AI, it's secure. There's no information that has to leave your servers or your internal infrastructure, right? If you host it on a cloud droplet, no information has to leave that server. If you are going to host it on your own computer locally, then no information has to leave your computer. You can even run a local language model on your computer with no internet connection. So the security is one aspect of it. You also have greater customizability. You essentially have two ways to change the output that you get from an LLM. One, you can use prompting, right, which is either a user prompt or you have a system prompt. So all of this prompting, you're not actually changing the parameters of the model. You're not changing the internal weights and biases of the model. So you can think of the weights and the biases of the language model as the neurons of the brain and the connections. I forget what connections between neurons are called. I think synapses, but you can think of weights and biases as the neurons in a brain and also the connections between those neurons. And when you are prompting a language model, you don't have the ability to actually change those neurons and change those connections. So you can't fundamentally change the model itself, but you can interact with it and try to get it to improve its outputs based on the interactions you're having with it. But when you have a local model, you're able to do what's called fine tuning. And when you're fine tuning a model, you are able to actually train the model. There's a difference between training a model and giving it context to operate from. When you train a model, it means you're actually changing the neurons of the model. You're changing the weights, the parameters of the model, which are the weights and biases of the model. And when you have a local model that belongs to you, you can actually fine tune that model and train it, change the internal structure of the model so that it can produce much better quality outputs, especially if you're using it for a specific use case. Again, in the legal field, you may want to fine tune a language model to be to be an expert in mergers and acquisitions, or in wills and trusts, or in civil rights litigation, or whatever your specific use case is. With local AI, you could have the ability to actually fine tune a model to be an expert in that specific domain. Local AI is generally also a lot faster. If you think again back to the example of either having contract review done in-house or having contract review done in a far off land, it'd obviously be much faster to have it done in-house, right? So local AI is the same thing, because you don't have to deal with the latency of your message having to travel off to a cloud provider, be processed by that cloud provider, and then be returned to your computer. Everything's happening on either your own machine or on your own server. So that process is usually much faster than a cloud system, than a cloud setup. And then lastly, there are just some specific use cases where you don't really have a choice, where you have to use a local setup. Again, this is why I want to touch on this concept in the legal field specifically, because if you're dealing with very sensitive data and information, there are just certain risks that you cannot afford to take when using cloud AI. So with certain setups, you have to use a local setup. For example, if you're dealing with medical records, you're probably gonna have to use a local setup. If you're dealing with sensitive financial data, you're also probably gonna need to use a local setup. And so why is local versus cloud so important for attorneys? When talking to attorneys about how to use AI, when to use AI, why to use AI, the main concerns that I hear from attorneys are usually around accuracy and security, right? Is this language model gonna produce outputs that are accurate? And is it gonna actually keep my information safe and secure? And uniquely, dealing with a local setup, you're able to address both of those problems. So from the security standpoint, we already talked about, you're able to keep your information much more secure because you're not dealing with any third parties. You're keeping everything proprietary. That is how local AI helps with the security aspect. And then the accuracy aspect. There are a few studies that have shown that if you train a smaller model on a specific task and you train it multiple times on a specific task, then that model can outperform larger models who have less training on that specific task. So if you were to take let's say you were to take a smaller language model and you were to download it onto your computer, and say you're in mergers and acquisitions, for example, and you were to fine tune that model specifically on mergers and acquisitions, you have access to high quality mergers and acquisitions documents. And so you could train that language model to be an expert on mergers and acquisitions. That smaller language model locally on your own computer could outperform a larger model, a ChatGPT or a Claude Sonnet or Grok or any of these larger models. It could outperform those models on tasks specifically related to mergers and acquisitions. So that's enough about local AI. Now a little bit about cloud AI and what the benefits are with cloud AI. Obviously, at the moment, cloud AI models are better than local models. Even though that gap is closing and has been closing for a while, cloud AI models are still a bit better than local models are. So that's the first one, performance-wise. The second thing is maintenance. Obviously, you don't have to maintain a cloud model. And third thing is, with cloud models, you have certain tools out of the box, right? So if you go to ChatGPT right now and you ask it to search the internet, it has a tool already installed that allows it to search the internet. Or if you ask ChatGPT to do a math problem, it has a tool that allows it to run code so I can do that math problem. What else does it have? Image generation. It has a couple of different tools in there automatically out of the box. Local AI allows you to build your own tools. You can build your own tools for your local models. If you're an attorney, you may have certain processes within your firm or within your business that you know very well, and you want to build out a specific tool to execute those processes in a very specific way. You can build that tool or that process out and connect it to your local model. So you can give your local model tools itself. If you remember talking about agents, an AI agent has a brain, which is a language model, and it has tools. So tools allow it to interact with the world, with the environment, with whatever context you want to give it. So I believe those are the main points when it comes to cloud AI and the benefits of cloud AI. The performance is a bit better. The you obviously don't have to maintain it, and then it comes with some tools out of the box already. So those are the plus and minuses of local and cloud AI. We're gonna get in now. I'm gonna show you how you can go online and download a local AI model and use it on your own computer. I'm also gonna show you how you can integrate that with N8N, so you can build the applications for your law firm that are secure, where you can keep your client's information confidential. So I'm gonna show you how to do that now. Okay, cool. So now I'm actually gonna go in and show you how you can grab a local model off the internet and actually grab that and run that on your computer. And then I'm gonna show you how you can integrate that local model with N8N, so you can build workflows that are completely secure and confidential. You can protect your information and your client's information as well, and still get access to high quality language models so you can work with AI. We're just gonna go to olama.com. This is a platform that just makes it really easy for you to integrate and use language models in your computer. You're gonna download this. I already have it downloaded, but you're gonna download this and follow through and set the whole thing up. And then I'll show you how you can download a language model onto your computer. So now that you have actually gone and downloaded Olama, and you have it on your computer, and the way to check whether it's downloaded or not, you just follow the setup process. You should have it in your applications by now, and you can just check on the top of your computer and see this Olama here, and that will let you know that Olama it has been downloaded and that it's running. You can also go to localhost 11434, and if you go there, you can see in the top left Olama is running, and that will let you know that Olama is running on your computer. And so what we want to do now is we want to grab a language model. All we have to do in order to grab a language model is go to the models section in the top left, click on models, and then we can see we have a bunch of different models to choose from depending on what we need. So for this, we're going to use Llama 3 today, but you see we have Mistralis here. You can use Llama 3.1, Llama 3.2, you can use Quinn, you can use DeepSeek. There's a bunch of different models you can use depending on what you need. Today we're just going to use Llama 3 for the sake of this demo. And then so you're just going to click on you're going to click on the model that you need or the model that you want, and then you are going to click on the size that you want to download, right? So you can see how much space each of these is going to take up on your computer. For example, Llama 3 7dB means 70 billion parameters, would take up 40 gigabytes of space on your computer. We're going to use Llama 3 8 billion parameters now. That's what we're going to use right now. So right now we're going to use Llama 3 8 billion parameters, and that's only going to take up 4.7 gigabytes of space on our computer. So once I know I want this, I can just click on this, and then all I need to do is grab the command from right here in the top right, copy this, and then go to my terminal. So I'm going to write terminal, open my terminal on my Mac, and then I'm going to paste that into the terminal, hit enter, and then that is going to download that language model onto my computer. You can see it downloading now, and then I will be right back once this has actually downloaded. So a few minutes have passed, and we have successfully, as you can see, downloaded a large language model onto our local computer. We can actually interact with it here. So I should be able to say hello and get back a response. Let's see, can you tell me about mergers and acquisitions law? Right, so you can see this is again, this is a completely local model. I could run this without Wi-Fi. No information is leaving my laptop, and that took me probably 4 or 5 minutes to have this up and running. So we have a local model up and running on our own computer. And now I'm going to show you how you can take this model and you can actually build workflows with it that you can use again, and you can have a lot more peace of mind when you're using these workflows. Or you could even turn this into you can make this look a lot prettier, so you're dealing with an interface similar to what you'd be using if you actually went to chatgpt.com or Claude or whatever it is, just so it's a little bit more comfortable for you to use. But you can see now we have a completely local model set up on our own computer, and we can interact with this without having to worry about security precautions and potentially leaking our confidential data to third parties. So that's how you set up a local model. And then I'm going to show you also how you can set this up in N8N, so you can build workflows with this model. In order to connect Olama with your N8N instance, you're going to need to run N8N locally. And in order to do that, you're going to need to download N8N from GitHub. I'm going to show you how you can do that now. All we're going to do is go to github.com, If you don't have a GitHub account, you're going to want to set that up. But all we're going to do is go to github.com. We're going to go into our search bar. We're going to go n8n.io/self-hosted-ai-starter-kit. And we're going to search this up. And then we can click the first one that we see here. You can click on that. And you can scroll down and you can set up n8n, so you can also run n8n locally, right? So now you're looking at something that's completely proprietary, completely on your own machine, and you can use that to build and run workflows without having to have any information leave your machine and interact with any cloud models at all. Basically, you just want to follow these steps depending on what computer you have. So if you're using a Mac, you're just gonna want to follow these steps here, where it says for Mac/Apple Silicon users. And then you're going to want to open your terminal. You're going to want to open your terminal and just copy and paste and run these 3 commands in order. Also keep in mind, you're going to need Docker on your computer, which you can set up. So Docker is this right here. You're going to need Docker on your computer to be able to run this. Again, Docker, there are a bunch of videos on YouTube that will show you how to set up Docker. It shouldn't take you too long to get that set up. But once you do have Docker set up, come into the self-hosted AI starter kit on n8n, and then run these 3 commands in your terminal, and then you will have n8n ready to go locally. So again, you can go into your terminal. I've already done this, but just for the sake of the video. So you can open your terminal, and then you're just going to copy and paste exactly what you see here in the GitHub repository, and you're going to run all of that in your terminal. So once you've done that, then you'll have n8n ready to go on your own computer. Then you can come onto your computer and go localhost 5678, and then you'll be able to log right into your n8n instance. We can just go to create workflow. We can create, the first step is going to be on a chat message, and then we can create an AI agent node. AI agent node is here, and then we can just add a chat model here. And I'm going to show you how you can connect Ollama now to your n8n instance and actually start building workflows, building agents that are secure, that you don't need to use cloud AI to actually run and use. So again, all you're going to have to do to be able to connect your Ollama account to your local n8n instance is you just want to copy this exact URL as you see it here, host.docker.internal. And then the port is 11434. And once you've done that, you'll see the connection will test successfully. And then you can choose the model that you want to use. And then you can choose those models. And now we have a local chat model set up. We have local n8n running. And I can move my head out of the way so you guys can see this. I can now interact with my completely local model. I'm on my own computer. So tell me about IP. Now we can see it's running. Okay, and then after a couple of seconds, we can see the execution finished, and we have a response from our local model telling me about intellectual property law. That's how you can set up a local model on your own computer and n8n locally as well. And that's how you can get started using local AI. You can obviously build much more complex flows than this, but just for the purpose of this demonstration, I just want to get this up and running really quickly for you guys so you guys can get started using local AI in your firms. If you are a solo attorney and you would like help figuring out how to integrate AI into your firm, save you some money, save you some time, there's a link in the description. You can click on that. Please don't be alarmed. It's me putting on a sales hat and trying to sell you something. So that's there if you want it. And that's pretty much everything for this video. So if you would have gone through, you would have learned a little bit about local AI, cloud AI, the pluses and minuses of both of those, and also the implications for the practice of law and the usage of AI in the practice of law. If you liked the video, please drop a thumbs up. It'll help YouTube also to recommend more videos similar to this one. Drop a comment. Let me know if any suggestions you guys have, any other videos you guys want me to make. Let me know if you guys want me to make a video showing how to turn that local AI chat agent into a much nicer interface to interact with, or if you guys have any suggestions for any types of videos that you want me to create or any topics you want me to cover, let me know that in the comments. And then also subscribe and turn on post notifications, so for any new videos that come out, you'll be able to get those as soon as they come out. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for going through and watching this. Hopefully you watched this and you actually went through and downloaded a local model, and you got to experiment a little bit with local AI. Hopefully you learned something new here today. And yeah, just thank you guys so much. Have a great day.